What's up, cuties? With the Super Bowl over, it's officially mock draft season, and I'm going to be going over a mock draft of a good friend of mine. So I don't really know much about a lot of these draft prospects. I can talk about teams and their needs based on what I think. So I can't go into depth. So that's why I'm leaving it up to the cutie Gabe to do that for us. So this is kind of just an idiot casual fan's reaction to an NFL mock draft. Not gonna bore you too much, just gonna get right into the picks. So number 1 overall, Trevor Lawrence. Not much to say there. That's like he says right here. It's in every mock draft you'll ever see because it's going to happen. It's the only reason Urban Meyer would take the Jacksonville job is because Trevor Lawrence is going to be their quarterback. And then with the second pick, he's finally come around, I guess. I've been on the Zach Wilson train for a while. I guess he's a little late to the party. He's got the Jets taking Zach Wilson. I don't know what you could get for Darnold, but getting whatever you can for him and taking Zach Wilson is definitely what the Jets should do, unless the Texans change their mind and Deshaun Watson is available. Third overall, he's got the Miami Dolphins taking Devontae Smith. Heisman Trophy winner. Since he's going back to Tua, it makes sense for me. Jamar Chase is wide receiver 1 in this draft. But with the spectacular season he had, it's hard to see him falling too much, especially with a wide receiver needy team like Miami. And they really need to see what they have in Tua. I mean, there's talks already about them taking a quarterback. I doubt it. I don't see them doing it. So helping out their young quarterback definitely makes the most sense. I could see them going Penei Sewell with this pick, though. I mean, we just watched the Super Bowl. We know how important good offensive line play is in the NFL. But I think wide receiver is probably a good enough move for him. At number 4, he's got the Atlanta Falcons taking Justin Fields. All right. Gabe's kind of a Justin Fields fanboy, but it's nice to see that he finally moved him down to QB3 where he belongs. Okay, my boy looked into the contract situation, and the amount of time left on Matt Ryan's contract, at least the amount of time to where it'll be no penalty for him, is just enough time to keep Fields behind him and have him learn behind Matt Ryan. Number 5, the Bengals take Rashawn Slater. If Sewell's on the board, I don't know how you pass him up. I mean, they need offensive line. They got to protect the king, the GOAT, young GOAT, Joe Burrow. But I know that Rashawn Slater is rising in the board, but he's not past Sewell. I've heard that day 1 coming in at tackle, he'll be technically sound better and maybe play better immediately. But with what Sewell, I believe, will become, you don't pass on him. I think even the Dolphins passing on him was a bit of a stretch for me. At 6, the Eagles take Jamar Chase. That's tough for me as a Cowboys fan to see because I love Jamar Chase. I love the entire LSU offense from 2019. But it makes a lot of sense. I think whether it's Hurts or Wentz, they need to get more weapons for either guy. If they love Fields or Wilson and they fall to him at 6, I wouldn't be surprised if they take him, especially that would be meaning if Wentz got traded. Because Hurts, I don't think he played well enough to pass on, say, Zach Wilson, but he played well enough to not, roll the dice again on like a Trey Lance. So with Fields, and Wilson off the board. Getting them help, getting their quarterbacks help makes a lot of sense. And with Darius Slay there, maybe you don't feel as forced to take a cornerback, but that is still a huge need for him with the top two cornerstone on the board at Farley and Surtain. But like I said, to me, Jamar Chase is wide receiver 1, so if he's still there, it's too good I think he's too good for them to pass up on. The Detroit Lions taking Jalen Waddle. Because Galladay and Jones, I don't see a scenario in which they stay, especially because they got worse at quarterback. And since you got worse at quarterback, you need to surround them with talent if they want to compete, which I guess the Lions want to compete. I don't know. I wouldn't be too surprised if they're picking right around here again next year. And the Carolina Panthers take Trey Lance. Now, this is a good team to take Trey Lance, because they have Teddy Bridgewater, who could at least play one more season for him, while Trey Lance, sits behind him, learns the system, and gets put in there next year. I'm actually pretty high on Trey Lance. Going into the season, I thought he could pass Fields as QB2, but then Wilson, did his thing and, went up there for me. And then Trey Lance, unfortunately only played one game. I think all 4 quarterbacks that should go in the first round are off the board at 8 already. Honestly, even with Teddy Bridgewater there, because I'm pretty high on Trey Lance, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up just starting by the end of the year. 29 touchdowns. A little typo there, buddy. 29 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. The ceiling for Trey Lance is through the roof. He has all the physical tools with the great arm and the pair of legs that you kind of need in a franchise quarterback nowadays. So he has that. It's just, does he have it in between the ears? Which I guess we'll see. And at 8 is probably just the perfect range for him, and it's a great situation to go for because he's not going to be rushed out there if he's not ready due to Teddy Bridgewater. But we'll see. The Denver Broncos take Patrick Surtain, and the Cowboys take Caleb Farley. Since they're 2 back-to-back corners, I'm going to talk both at the same time. I'm going to call Gabe out here. I think he had Surtain go above Farley so the Cowboys could take Farley. He's a Cowboys fan as well. And I'm pretty sure I've heard him say sentiments about if we take Surtain over Farley, we're dumb. That Jerry Jones is an idiot. So I'm going to call him out. I think he did this just so we could get him. Because the physical tools that Farley has, he hasn't even played the position that long, and he's looked as good as he has. I don't see how you take Surtain over him. I know that technically, that Surtain's fundamentals are going to be better coming out, but unless Surtain surprises with his 40 time, I don't see how he goes ahead of Farley. Okay. Penei Sewell falling all the way to 11 is not going to happen. First of all, as a Cowboys fan myself, if he falls to 10 and we don't take him, I'm going to be mad. He says right here, with many injuries across the offensive line in 2020 and Penei Sewell still on the board, it's hard for the Cowboys to pass on taking a tackle with this pick. The way Mahomes played in the Super Bowl, how he was under duress the whole time, because both of his tackles were out, was how every Cowboys quarterback had to play this season. And if Sewell's on the board, I feel good enough about trading Tyron Smith and taking Sewell. I don't know what we could get for Tyron Smith with his injuries. I think at least a day 2 pick. and swapping Smith for Sewell and getting a pick in that's something we should do. If Sewell falls to him, he's too good of a prospect for the Giants to pass on. He's not as big a position of need as, say, honestly, any skill player, whether it's Kyle Pitts or a receiver, but the top 3 receivers have already been taken off the board. And I've heard mixed things on the edge class here, so maybe they wouldn't want to reach for a guy. But if Sewell falls to him, I don't know how you pass it. Now, Kyle Pitts going to San Francisco would be just a Kyle Shanahan wet dream. Having all the different versatile offensive weapons that he would have at his disposal to play with Ayuk and Kittle. Oh my gosh. And Debo. He would have a field day no matter who the quarterback is for the San Francisco 49ers. I feel like if you get Pitts, I mean, with the injuries that the 49ers took, I say you just heal up, restock with the draft, and run it back with Jimmy G. Jimmy G isn't great, but he's probably a little overhated right now. So I would just heal up, load up, run it back. This team made it to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G and almost won it. They almost won. The Chargers take Christian Darrisaw. They were probably pretty upset that Pitts went right in front of them with Hunter Henry coming up for free agency, I believe. Let me check that. Yeah. So the Chargers, with Sewell and Slater gone, I feel like if Pitts had fallen, they should have just taken him to pair up with Justin Herbert to wreak havoc. But with them gone, taking an offensive lineman to protect your franchise quarterback, your young franchise quarterback, is always a good move. So, like I said, I don't know too much about each individual prospect. Vikings also take an offensive lineman. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if after the Super Bowl that scares a lot of teams and they just load up their lines just to ensure that doesn't happen, because that was embarrassing to see. So 2 teams back-to-back going offensive linemen. Darrisaw definitely played tackle. I would assume Tucker plays guard. Although on this team, who knows? But if you got Dalvin Cook and you're paying Dalvin Cook that type of money, you need to ensure that he can perform at that level. And giving Kirk Cousins time to throw to one of the best wide receiver duos. I don't know where I would rank it. It's at least a top 5 wide receiver duo in Thielen and Jefferson. Micah Parsons falling all the way to 15 to the New England Patriots. With the top 4 quarterbacks gone, the top 3 receivers gone, and Kyle Pitts gone, what else can they really do? They take the best player on the board, who I believe has some off-field questions right now. I'd have to check on that. I don't think anything's been confirmed. But I've seen in some other mock drafts him falling all the way to 15. So this is, it's definitely possible. I feel like if he goes past Detroit, if he falls past Detroit, I would have. The Vikings defense was pretty bad last year. But I feel like if he falls past Detroit, he probably ends up going to New England. I know there's Mac Jones talk here. Like the homie mentions. But I know some people are really high on Mac Jones, and I like Mac Jones, but I don't think he's 15th overall good. But yeah, Micah Parsons going to the Patriots. Like I said, if he falls past Detroit, this is what I would imagine would happen. And he's, defensive guy, so Belichick will definitely be inclined to take him. And just his versatility is, probably makes Bill Belichick's mouth water on what he could do with him. So If he's available at 15, I definitely think they take him over Mac Jones. Arizona Cardinals take J.C. Horn. Well, with Patrick Peterson not going to be back with the team, they have Budda Baker there, Byron Murphy on the other side of what would be J.C. Horn. They definitely need to go corner. And with the top two taken back-to-back earlier, they take J.C. Horn, who is a first-round caliber guy. I think it's definitely Surtain and Farley, and then Horn behind him, but definitely a first-round caliber guy. And we know that the Cardinals can score with DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray. Honestly, that combo alone, that's going to put up points. So they just need to start being able to play defense. With Matthew Stafford coming in, to their division, that's just a better quarterback they got to go against. Russell Wilson, we know what he does, especially since they have a top duo at wide receiver as well with Metcalf and Lockett. They got to be able to cover them. So J.C. Horn to the Cardinals just makes a ton of sense. The Las Vegas Raiders taking Kwity Paye, especially since the top three corners are gone. I feel like they definitely should go D-line. And this is I guess for Gabe, this is edge one. They have Crosby and Farrell on each end, but being able to rotate out your edge guys and keep them fresh and just constantly attacking the quarterback is always good, especially if it's an obvious passing down. You can probably just slap all three onto the field at once and just tell them to rush. So Kwity Paye going to the Raiders makes a ton of sense. Miami Dolphins take Najee Harris. Okay, I see. Okay, Gabe, I see what you're doing. You're just wanting to recreate the Alabama offense in Miami. All right, so a running back in the first round. The Dolphins, honestly, they could probably afford to do it because they have more draft capital going all the way. They already even had a first round. They already took another player in the first round. So them taking a running back in the first round, I think, is fine. So since they already had a top defense last year, and then they have Parker, they just drafted Smith, they have Gesicki, and they had some young offensive line players who played, pretty well, I guess, things considering, how young they were, being rookies. So throwing in Najee Harris, just to help out, balance their offensive attack, it just makes a lot of sense. I know that they had some inconsistency in their backfield last year, mainly because of injuries. But Myles Gaskin played pretty well, so I don't love a running back in the first round unless it's like a Saquon, Zeke, McCaffrey level player that I don't think Najee Harris is. But it fits. It's a nice story as well, just having all, just a bunch of Crimson Tide on your offense. Okay. At 19, the Washington football team taking Kadarius Toney, the wide receiver out of Florida. So Gabe's a Florida boy. Well, I don't think he's a fan of the Gators, at least. Toney, he makes sense to go on the opposite side of Terry McLaurin, the best wide receiver from his draft class. Washington should be doing whatever they can to get a quarterback. Now at 19, with the top 4 taken, you don't take one here because Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, they're not a 19th overall type of quarterback. So they look for them to trade up. Any quarterback that's on the trade market, they should be knocking on the door to see because their defense is ready to go. Terry McLaurin is there. So, but if they still have this 19th pick and top 4 quarterbacks are gone, I guess just trying to make it easier for whoever quarterback's going to be and give him Kadarius Toney. A Kadarius Toney, Terry McLaurin duo, that sounds pretty good, honestly. So it makes sense. It doesn't, as a Cowboys fan, it doesn't really scare me. It doesn't scare me as much as the Eagles taking Jamar Chase, but it definitely makes their team better. The Chicago Bears taking Sam Cosmi. The only thing worse for the Bears than their quarterback position group was their offensive line position group. And they made it to the playoffs with that group. So just upgrading the offensive line in general, maybe making Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky look better. Although with Allen Robinson, likely leaving, I could see them taking maybe a Rashad Bateman, or just if one of these receivers up here is still available, come actual draft time they're there, they should take them. But with how this draft has gone, which has gone pretty well, I'm going to give props to Gabe. It's gone well except for the one idiotic thing of Sewell falling all the way to 11, which is absurd. Yeah, Andrew Thomas went fucking 4th, and he's going to have Sewell falling to 11. I mean, Andrew Thomas' previous draft, so it's not on him, but still. The Colts trying to get a Costanzo replacement. It makes sense. I don't know if 21 is a little bit of a reach for Eichenberg, but just due to the need of, since Costanzo retiring, it's a big need. The Colts they make their money off of being good on the offensive line. It's kind of, honestly, sadly, ever since Andrew Luck retired, that's what they've been known for, is being elite at offensive line. So trying to keep that trend going, especially if you're going to have a run-heavy game with, Hines and Jonathan Taylor, giving time to throw to Michael Pittman, and they should probably make a running at maybe signing one of the top wide receivers that's available in free agency, because they're not going to get one at 21. I don't know who their quarterback is going to be. I mean, right now it's looking like, I guess, Jacob Eason, you're in, but they need to do something there. Tennessee Titans take Joseph Osai, edge. Yeah. The Titans have no pass rush. I mean, they had Jadeveon Clowney, but he didn't really do anything for him. Yeah, good friends with the Titans fans, so hopefully he'd appreciate this pick, just getting them some more pressure, because their offense is elite, assuming everyone stays healthy. So they just need to attack their defense, especially edge. And we saw, this is a team that wants to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a team that thinks they can compete there, which I think they could. I think they could, but they would need to get the edge. We saw what the Bucs were able to do, and that's kind of what the Titans need to look at and try to replicate. They just need to just stock up on edge players. Gregory Rousseau going to the New York Jets. This is probably the best place for Rousseau to go, being a bit of a developmental project edge with extremely high upsides. To go into a place like the Jets, where they're not expected to do anything, and they have Robert Saleh there, so he'd have plenty of time, great coaching to develop. And they have Zach Wilson, the guy of the future at quarterback, hopefully. They said that about Sam Darnold, so hopefully the guy of the future at quarterback, and just take a guy who could be a monster for him on the edge in the future. I don't think he would come out and start there right now. The Steelers take Tevin Jenkins, with Villanueva being a free agent. Offensive line is probably second to quarterback in terms of value and need, especially tackling. So I'm going to assume it's big men coming back. And at his age, we could see one injury change their entire season. That's true for every team, but their entire future, really, because then they would be into get a quarterback rush mode if something were to happen. So doing what they can to improve their offensive line, which would hopefully help their run game as well, which it says down here is an elite run blocker, which that team, that's what they really need help. They need to improve their run game. This is a team that I also wouldn't be mad if they took a running back in the first round due to the pressing need it is. We saw how much that kind of screwed them over, being just incapable of running the football. Jacksonville Jaguars take Jalen Mayfield. So, I mean, this is just perfect. You take your quarterback at 1, and then you give him a tackle to grow and develop with to protect him. The Jags do something great here. They just go, what's the number 1 position of need? Oh, quarterback, check. What's the number 2 position of need? Oh, tackle, check. Love it. Cleveland Browns take Xavier Collins, linebacker. So the Browns, if I'm being honest, have at least top end. I guess I don't know about full depth, but one of the better rosters just across the board at each position in the NFL. With edge with Myles Garrett, I got Ward and Greedy at corner, which is good. It's not some elite tandem, but it's good. And then their offensive line was the best. They have Nick Chubb, who, in my opinion, is the top 3 running back, and Kareem Hunt. Baker Mayfield, who's starting to look great because he's playing behind that O-line. And then, if I were them, I know some people are saying to trade Odell. He's maybe, I don't know, he's fluctuated from being overrated to like kind of being underrated right now. He is still a great wideout that I think you try it. I mean, unless you get blown away with an offer, but since he's coming off an injury, I doubt you get the level of offer that would be worth it. So I'd say run it back with the Landry, Mayfield to Landry and Beckham tandem. That would just be, it could work out so well. The potential for that is so high, but we'll see. Baltimore Ravens take Azeez Ojulari. They take Azeez. Edge. This is a team that could maybe reach for a receiver. We want to make fun of Lamar, and Lamar has his faults, but with the receivers that he's throwing to, his best guys are just tight ends. Marquise, Hollywood Brown is at best a wide receiver 2. He's probably better as a change of pace, like wide receiver 3. But edge is a more important position. So taking Azeez and just trying to keep, because if you have that outstanding defense, because like I said with the Titans, this is a team that thinks they can beat the Chiefs, and if they think they can beat the Chiefs, you got to loan about edge and just pray. You got to load about edge and pray. So them taking an edge makes a lot of sense. The Saints taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker, Notre Dame. So honestly, Mac Jones could make sense here. Not too mobile of a quarterback that can, disperse the ball around. That's what New Orleans has pretty much worked with for most, or if not all, of Drew Brees' career. And I don't know. I mean, if you think Jameis is truly the guy, I guess we saw Drew Brees telling him that that's his team, so they probably won't go it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Honestly, it would also make a lot of sense to get a linebacker with McCaffrey coming back. I guess unless it's the playoffs, maybe you don't have to really worry about Leonard Fournette, and he's also a free agent, so we'll see if he stays with the team. But just dealing with McCaffrey is worthwhile enough, and then just being able to shut down a run game goes a long way in the NFL, especially in the playoffs, which I think this team still believes themselves to be a playoff team even without Drew Brees. So this is probably best player available as well, which is never a bad move unless you have your quarterback. You have your quarterback and you take a quarterback. I don't know what type of team would do that. Speaking of dumb teams, Ifeatu Milif, I don't want to be disrespectful and butcher his name, DB out of Syracuse, just getting somebody to play with Jair Alexander, who's one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL, potentially the top. I don't know if I haven't seen enough to make that claim. But, being able to shut down a team's passing attack in the modern day NFL, especially if this is a team that thinks they can meet up with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl or meet up with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in the playoffs. It would definitely be, it's mandatory that they have more than just Jair back there. And for them drafting a wideout, because they don't need a wide receiver one. They have Devontae Adams. With Lazard and Scantling, you feel okay enough to take a wideout in day 2, I think, at least considering how the board is. So it makes sense. The Buffalo Bills at 30, taking Jalen Phillips. I think what's holding Phillips back is his injury concerns. Oh yeah, right here. Down at the end. Injuries have held him back in his career. So if it weren't for that, he probably goes higher. So them taking him here, I think I've said this every time I've seen an AFC contender on the board taking an edge. But like I said, if you want to beat the Chiefs, you gotta have a good D line, and this would be a huge step towards that for the Bills. They have the quarterback that can compete with Mahomes, who, I don't think consistently will play better than him, but on a given Sunday could play better than him. Maybe even a stretch. I wouldn't be surprised if. I mean, he played at MVP level this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and wins it next year, or just plays at that top level. I've seen running back here, which it's not a round 1 need for him. It's not a first round need for him. It is at best a 3rd round pick for him. They should go edge, corner, then maybe running back. Because with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, that's good enough considering the running threat that Josh Allen is. So definitely, if they definitely shouldn't take running back here. But taking an edge up is maybe, in my opinion, the 3rd most valuable position in the NFL behind quarterback and offensive line. I guess I've had to be specific, offensive tackle. But the reason offensive tackle is so valuable is because of these edge players that are in the NFL right now. So if they want to compete with the big boys down here, they have to. Kansas City Chiefs take Trey Smith. Either a guard or tackle, play him either one, which his versatility is probably something the Chiefs would love right now, just be able to have. Due to how good their roster is, taking a guy in the 1st round to be a backup to something as valuable as the offensive line makes a lot of sense. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Carlos Basham Jr., edge, Wake Forest. I don't think there's any way Shaq Barrett leaves. And JPP's aging, I guess, but he played lights out in the Super Bowl, so I don't hate it. I mean, I guess the problem is I'm trying to think what their need is. They just won the Super Bowl. It's pretty hard to point out a true need. They shut down the team tonight. They held the Chiefs of all team, to 9 points, and they put up 31 on them. So it's hard to put a position, a real position of need for him. Godwin's not going to go anywhere. They said they'll tag him if they have to. And I think the reason they're saying that is because they're going to back the truck up for Shaq. He's getting his money. He's staying in Tampa. I would be amazed if he left. There's stuff about Mike Evans coming out to, they can play with his contract if needed to keep the team together. Shaq's not leaving. So, do you bring back Leonard Fournette? I think you try, but I don't know how much money he's going to demand, how much money his value really is. ETN's still on the board, so maybe they go ETN there, but I guess this makes the most sense. It's hard because this team won the Super Bowl. It's hard to point out a weakness. So just ensuring the D-line makes a lot of sense. Just because, you won off your D-line. Might as well make sure you stay winning off your D-line. So I like it. I don't love it, but I guess I don't love it because they don't have a glaring need. Like, I'm able to say, oh, I love the Cowboys taking Farley because corner is such an obvious need for us. Oh, I love the Jacksonville Jaguars taking quarterback because it's such an obvious need. The Bucs don't have an obvious need. So fuck it. All right. I'm gonna read my boys. I'm gonna read my boys about him. About me. My name is Gabriel Trevino. I'm a senior in high school from San Antonio, Texas, with hopes to either attend Oklahoma State University, University of Florida, or Clemson University in the fall, studying sports communications. Shocking degree choice, right? Hope to graduate and become an NFL scout or NFL draft analyst. I've been making mock drafts and studying college players since 2018. When did I meet him? He started doing this when we met? When did I meet him? I guess met and knowing. I really only knew him last school year. Sat next to him. It's the homie though. In the NFL draft season, my favorite time of the year. Not Christmas. This is what you live for, not Christmas. This is it. So far in 2021, I have watched about 80 different players and plan to increase that amount to over 150 individual players. Do that. Drop another mock. 2 rounds. That's my challenge to you, Gabe. Drop another mock 2 rounds when you hit 150. That's enough players, right? If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll be putting out more videos soon. Thank you.